The NFL, we're already 7 weeks in. Now, there's been some surprising teams and all, but today I just want to talk about players that I think will potentially be traded and that I think teams should trade for, or maybe that they shouldn't trade for. So let's go ahead and get into it. Now, starting for Cooper Kupp, his best fit, in my opinion, is Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay just lost Chris Godwin for at least a year, and Mike Evans is probably going to miss at least 2 weeks. He's getting an MRI. I believe it was today on Wednesday, but I'm not sure. But like I said, the Buccaneers lost their two best wide receivers, and if this team is serious, I think the investment might be worth it. Reports are that the Rams are looking for a second-round pick, and I'm not exactly sure if I would want to give that up. Now, although he's a fit for the Buccaneers, a second-round pick just seems a little pricey. We've seen Amari Cooper not go for that high of a pick, and Kupp is already 31 years old. I thought he was a couple years younger, but he is not. He is 31, pricier contract that lasts 2 years. I think it's going to be worth it if maybe the Rams are willing to hold on to some salary. And also, if maybe that deal is even cut down to 1 year, unless they hold on to enough salary. But at least for me, I'm not sure if I'm going to pull the trigger to take on all that salary and the next 2 years for a second-round pick. Maybe for a fourth, I would do all of that. But sorry about that ad popping up. I do not care about your campaign, Kamala Harris. Getting back to the football talk, there's 2 years on Kupp's contract. I'm not going to take all that salary. I think if anything will happen is teams, the Rams might agree to kind of meet in the middle ground, take on some of that salary, and probably he gets moved for a third-round pick, and maybe the Rams also get a seventh, or they exchange late-round picks with the team that they move him to. I do think the Buccaneers are the best fit, like I've said, but we'll move on to our next player now. Moving on, we talked about his teammate in that Kupp talk, but we have David Njoku. And I believe that he is a very good tight end. I think a lot of people do. And the Broncos are currently 4-3, which is about 3 wins better than everyone thought they'd be. Although they haven't been the worst roster in the league so far, their tight end room very well might still be. Sean Payton could use a tight end to work with, and Njoku would be such a weapon for Bo Nix to have. Njoku has about the same amount of yards as all 4 of the Broncos tight ends combined, and he's missed quite a few games this season. He's missed at least 3, I know for sure. So obviously he spent some time injured, and he was injured last year, but as long as he doesn't get his face close to too many fires, he should be fine. He's never been super injury prone. It's not a big issue. But back to the main point, the Broncos really need a tight end. Obviously, I'm not sure if we're going to be playoff contenders this year, but if you can get David Njoku along with an extension, because he only has 1 year, I think it might be worth it. Now, if you get him just for 1 year, maybe you have to go out and re-sign him. I'm not too sure how much you want to spend on him. I think he might be worth probably about the same, maybe a little more than Kupp is, just because he's a bit younger. I'd say that he might be exiting his prime now, but he's still closer to his prime than Cooper Kupp is. But I think about a third-round pick would be worth it for David Njoku. Maybe you exchange late-round picks along with that, and I think that the Browns should probably do about everything just to rebuild this roster, because it's clearly not going to work with how it is right now in Deshaun Watson's injury. Now, we're going to give a couple honorable mentions here. Cam Jordan, I feel like he could be a trade candidate, but at the same time, his production is low. I'm pretty sure he's still on that bigger contract he signed a couple years ago. Feels like he's more of a cut candidate than a trade candidate. Zach Wilson, he really did ball out in the preseason. Now, the thing about him is just I don't know how many teams need a QB right now. With Tua coming back, I'm just not entirely sure if the Dolphins might want him. I don't think he'd fit too well there anyway. I think Marcus Mariota could actually play pretty well in that Dolphins system, but once again, Tua coming back, I don't think they'd pull a trigger on a QB trade. Now, Matt Stafford has apparently, the Rams are willing to trade him, and I would honestly watch that to happen this offseason. He's getting old. I don't think he would get, it'd probably be similar to that Rodgers trade when the Jets traded for him, but I would honestly watch him to get moved this offseason, and it wouldn't surprise me at all. The Rams might need a reset a little bit. Seems like they're kind of building young. I think that they could honestly come back to being a playoff contender next year. I just don't quite see it this season. Now for our last player here, Myles Garrett. I think that the Detroit Lions are his best fit, and honestly, imagine next season you have Myles Garrett on one side and Aiden Hutchinson on the other as both of your edge rushers. Obviously, this season that wouldn't be the case with Hutchinson's injury, but an elite edge rusher is very important to this Lions team, and they've still been playing good without Hutchinson, but it just makes them even better. Garrett's contract would end in time. It would end at 2026, so the Lions would get the opportunity, to spend money to go ahead and extend Hutchinson while Garrett maybe becomes a free agent or if he takes a friendlier deal. Now, this wouldn't just be a move for this season to help him into the playoffs. This would be a move for next season as well. And I think that that's really important to look into in some of these trades. But Myles Garrett has won the Defensive Player of the Year a couple times now, and I think that this is a trade that would be very great to see happen. Max Crosby I didn't put on this list because it sounds like the Raiders don't want to move him. But at the same time, sounds like Crosby doesn't really want to be there for a rebuild, or at least he's just trying to go out there and do his best and win. That's all for this video. It was a lot less scripted than most of them, so let me know if you guys like that. I hope I didn't get too much wrong. I tried to make sure I had most of my facts straight. But I really hope you guys enjoyed this. Have a good day, and I hope to see you guys in more videos soon.